Ken Jensen. You know what? I think I'm done. I think you're just you. I mean, you need to just do that the rest of the Great job. You know, when you stand up to give a presentation, you got to acknowledge people that are uplifting you. And obviously, my first acknowledgement is to the divine and that uplifting of everybody here. But I also want to acknowledge that big angel right over there, Eric. Eric has got. So this presentation isn't going to go very well if Eric isn't in sync. And so I'm hanging by his rope over there. So thank you, Eric. I know you got the other end. I can't tell you how hard it was to not run and jump into that mosh pit in the middle over there. But then, then you have 230 pounds hitting the floor really hard, and and then you won't take me serious after that. So I've got to, just kind of rein it in. But boy, I'll tell you what, that was like, yeah, I like that. And for those of you who, maybe haven't seen that before, that release of the divine, that dancing and embracing all that fun stuff, that's what spirituality is all about. It's all about motion. It's all about displaying, exhibiting. Okay, there's a manifestation. We're manifestation. Everything we do is talking about moving toward manifestation. A manifestation of the divine. That's what you are. You're manifestations of the elect and most valiant of the divine. Now, some of you are going, what the heck? I'm not valiant. Let me tell you, if you signed up to be here on the planet at this time, with all the stuff that's going on, you're valiant. And not only that, you're e-ticket riders. You're like, yeah, I want to go down there when it's really tough and scary and intense because, man, that's living. And then we get here, sometimes we go, oh, that's kind of scary. Maybe I want to sit back here on the sidelines. And so we're going to talk a little bit about living the spirit in motion. Let's go to the next one. So here's some, me, I always put a couple cartoons up there. For those that can't see way in the back, I can't even see it. Okay, he says, you're kidding. A perpetual motion machine? He goes, yep. There's just this little one snag. He goes, what's that? He goes, it won't start. Okay? Think about that. We're perpetual motion machines. And sometimes the hardest thing, the biggest miracle we're going to do every day is to get ourselves moving, to get ourselves going and engaged. This other one, little daughter goes, watching football, huh? Yep, that's nice. And then we've had this lecture before. Of course, it would also be nice to spend some quality time with your daughter. There's really, the time is really sailing by. These precious years will be gone before you know it. And the mom comes in and says, we're doing the instant replays with dolls. And then Malibu Barbie went into motion. I've been that dad. Okay, Malibu Barbie, we're reenacting the Terminator with Malibu Barbie, okay? The whole thing in life, and I love this example, is because sometimes we want what we want and other people need us. And there's a way to reach that happy medium. And so he's watching the game, and he's including her, and they're having fun, and she's playing Malibu Barbie, and everybody gains, okay? Let's go to the next one. So, first thing is everything's in motion. It's interesting because Eric's computer and my computer seem to speak a little bit different language. Some of the graphics are going to be a little bit different, but I want you to see this. Everything's in motion. The biggest illusion perpetuated toward mankind is that things actually stand still. Okay? Right now, we are moving at the speed of light. Your body is, contrary to your opinion, is moving at the speed of light. You have the illusion that you're sitting in a solid chair on a solid floor in a motionless planet, when in reality, our nature is to be in motion. The subatomic particles that hold your body together, that make you move at the speed of light. So you are particles moving at the speed of light, attached to particles moving at the speed of light, on a planet that's moving. Everything is motion. And so we believe this illusion that there's this static thing called life, when in reality it moves. And to be engaged in spirituality requires us to understand that this motion is taking place. A decision is motion. A non-decision is motion. A creation is motion. Letting creation happen on its own is motion. Everything is moving. So when we talk about spirituality in motion, what we're talking about is consciousness and deliberation in motion. Owning what you are, who you are, how you are. Because when we do that, then we can do some really fun stuff. Let's go next one, Eric. So everything's going somewhere, okay? This is a glacier. People think glaciers aren't moving. They're moving. Okay, the Rocky Mountains, a lot of the things that we see around us were influenced by glaciers. Okay? They're in motion. They move slowly beyond our perception, and yet they are sculpting the very planet that we walk on. Next one, please. So here's the question is, where do you choose to go? When we're talking about being spirituality in motion, the first thing we have to understand is that it's our choice. The most sacred, God-given right that you have is freedom of choice. And the biggest curse that some of us have is freedom of choice, okay? Because we tend to choose some kind of wiggy things. We do. And then other of us walk up and go, why are you choosing to do that? And then we're going, what do you mean? Why am I choosing to do that? Of course, I wouldn't bring this upon myself. But remember, everything is choice. And if everything's in motion and we haven't consciously chosen where we want to go, the train's going to go anyway because we're on a planet and a condition and a dimension that is motion. Something is going to happen. Something is always going to happen. Okay? Now, one of the things that we've been talking about as a center is, in core council, we talk about, how we want to support people in their spiritual journey, and we're very loving and kind and embracing, and we are all those things. But then what happens is we get caught up in the woo-woo of it all. Ooh, we're loosey-goosey. We're just kind of wandering along spiritually. And in our lives, we go through that phase. All of us do. We're like, I'm discovering, this sounds kind of cool. I'd like to incorporate that. Well, this. And then comes a day where you put it all together and you live in volition. Volition, owning what you're putting into place. Okay? And so, that's what we're doing as a center. We're going, you know what? We need to be spirituality in motion. Spirituality in motion. Because everything else is in motion. And sometimes when we give that impression that, we can just kind of drift along, it's all good. And in reality, it is all good. And if you want to drift along, that's cool. And if you want to put a motor on the boat and put a rudder in the water and start making the direction, that's really cool too. Because that's the only way you're going to water ski. Okay? So but it takes some, you ever try the water ski behind a canoe? Okay? It doesn't work. Okay? So, where do you choose to go? No matter what the situation, remind yourself, I have a choice. Deepak Chopra. Okay? Your life is a blending of the choices you make to improve your life, improve how you make choices. Take time for conscious decisions based on good values. Long-term results, loving motives, huge loving motives. Because, and oftentimes, I think it should be loving motives should be first. Because when we're operating in love, we're operating in more of the divine. Okay? Staying true to your heart. That's I think when we get in the school system, when we're little kids, oftentimes we have this innocent little heart. And then somebody comes along with all the good intention in the world and gives us messages. Oh, you don't behave. Oh, you're a bad little boy. Oh, you're whatever. Okay? And that little heart gets bruised. The little heart gets kind of beat up. And pretty soon, we don't want to stop existing, and so we take our little heart and we put it in a box. And we wrap it up and we protect it. And we don't let very many people see that precious heart. And I'm inviting you to let your heart out. Let your heart shine. That's your light. That's that light within you. And so including that heart, following that heart in those things that you do will lead to amazing success. Okay, this picture here, this guy, this is all the same guy. Does he want to be this guy, or that guy? It's all choice. Okay, next one, please, Eric. So we have all these formulas in our head, okay? If I do, then I will be, and then I will have. We've heard that one, okay? If I do this, if I work really hard, and I be industrious, and then I'm going to have all the stuff, I'm going to get my cheese, okay? Which is okay if you want to live like a mouse, all right? Or if I'm going to imagine I have, and then I'm going to do, and then I'm going to be, okay? Or I'm going to be, and then I'm going to have because I do. The thing is, what I want to point out is that these are all tools. These are all gimmicks that we can use to help us get where we want to be. But the truth is, the being is the end result, okay? The being. And so that's what this conversation is about. It's about being and embracing and allowing that being. Let's go to the next one, okay? So we've all heard about the surrender to God within and allow it to be. God within, it's like Superman. Surrender is the intersection between acceptance and change. Surrender for us is kind of an ugly word because we're Americans. We don't surrender to anybody. Okay, we go and send all of our planes, bombs and stuff, and we bomb you. And then we don't surrender. You surrender to us. And we think of surrender as an ugly thing. Okay, but in reality, surrender is letting go. Okay, this letting go, because we think that if we try harder, if we hang on to the shovel harder, we're going to dig faster. When in reality, surrendering to maybe another possibility, we can do a lot more. Okay, so we allow it though, and when we surrender to the God within, people say, well, what's the God within? So we're going to do a little experiment right now, okay? I want you to think about let's think about what's wrong with you. Think about what's wrong with you right now and listen to that voice. Listen to that voice tell you what's wrong with you. Okay? You, the divine within you, are the person listening to that voice, not the voice. Does that make sense? You are the divine observer. And one of the main confusions that we have in life is that we're the voice telling us what's wrong with us, or that that's the divine telling us what's wrong with us. And if you step back for a second and observe the voice, you're the observer. You're that behind that. Does that make sense to everybody? Light going on? Okay? See, when we're thinking, God doesn't listen to me, I'm surrendering to the divine, and you're in that point where you're down on your knees and you're saying, divine, tell me what to do. And you're waiting. The computer operating system in you is the thing saying, well, gee, he's not listening. He or she doesn't know I'm here. He or she doesn't, I don't matter. Those things, you're waiting, not an answer. And you're desperate. You are desperate because you're in a hard spot. Okay? And you're waiting, and nothing happens. And then there's this tiny, tiny thing that's not that voice that says, get up. Just get up. That little just get up, behind that voice is you, is the divine. And the action of just getting up off your knees and taking the next step is a manifestation of the divine within you. The pleading, the crying, all that stuff is not you. That's that operating program. Runs behind, keeps everything going. But you're the divine observer. Okay? That's important to make that distinction. Let's go to the next one. Spirit is action, so we are action. Okay? We are that action. The divine, one of the first spirits in the creation is then the Spirit of God was upon the waters, and the Spirit moved through space and time. Moving, motion. Everything, there again, back in motion. And so that's what we are. So our spiritual journey, then, there again, we're moving. Now, it's not to be confused with doing, Because then I go back to that other argument of do, be, have, okay? We're trying to have a conversation above and beyond that, okay? And accepting that you are that divine manifestation moving toward an amazing outcome if you want it to be. Next one. So I went and saw the movie The Martian, okay? Anybody see that movie? Great movie. It's a fun movie. Amazing. So to paraphrase, basically the story is way in the future, we have a spaceship, lands on Mars, big storm comes. He gets hit with an antenna. Everybody thinks he's dead. The crew has to hurry and take off or their exit ship is going to tip over and nobody's going to leave. And they take off and he gets left behind. They think he's dead. And he wakes up and realizes he's on Mars alive. Only person on the planet. And it's going to be 5 years before they can come back. And basically, he's got 6 months of supplies for 6 people. Do the math. If he rations out his food, he's not going to make it. Okay? And in a lot of ways, we're the Martian. Okay? We're in this planet. We try to calculate everything going on. And so many times when we do the math, we think we're not going to make it. Our person left. Something happened. I lost my house. Whatever. We think we're not going to make it. And so when it flashes to the end of the movie, I'm going to, okay, buzzkill here. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. He makes it, okay? At the end of the movie, he's teaching in an academy. And he says, I'm going to ask some of the questions that I know you're going to ask because, I've taught this and everybody asks this question. So the question was, were you afraid to die? And he says, yeah, I was afraid to die. Everybody's afraid to die. But I had to decide what I was going to do right now and make a decision. And after I made that decision, I made another decision and another and another and another. I was asked to do impossible things, and I decided to. And that's how it is in our life. We decide, okay? We expand to the level of our perception, okay, when we're deciding. His perception could have been, I am on this planet alone, 5 years away from help. I am going to die, okay? Or his perception is, and it was kind of funny, because he had planted a garden. He had found a way to grow potatoes on Mars. I'm not going to go into details how, because it can be kind of disgusting. But anyway, he grows his potatoes, and then he stands up one time in his garden. He says, I am the finest farmer on Mars. And it was true. He was, okay? But changing that perception. I remember when I was a little kid, we lived in a little tiny house. And I didn't know any better, so I thought in the tiny house, every tiny house had to me, the kitchen was vast, okay, because I was tiny myself. But the kitchen was huge. And then we moved into a house in Thornton that was a tiny tract home. But I thought it was a heck of a lot bigger than the one we had in North Denver. And then we had this huge kitchen. It was 9 by 10. It was huge, okay, vast. And, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it doesn't get better than this. And then I got my own house, and my own kitchen, and then a bigger house, a bigger kitchen. And you realize that you grow into your space, into your awareness. Now, I couldn't have comprehended that before. I mean, I'd walked through show homes, and you have the idea, but until you actually live into it, does it become a reality? And so that's the whole thing about expanding into your level of perception. It's not enough to see it. You actually have to live into it, okay? Get that perception into your mind. So when we're talking about living in power and living in spirituality, and we're saying, you know what, this isn't working for me, I want this. The more effort that we make in actually perceiving that other thing, the higher the likelihood that we will manifest it. See, we're really fuzzy when it comes to creation because we're limited by the degree of our experience. And so when we try to create another possibility and some wonky kind of thing shows up and we're surprised and we're kind of blaming the divine. Why did you give me this wonky thing? Well, your vision was wonky, okay? Got to tell you, your vision was a little wonky. And so when you're doing that, the manifestation equals your vision, okay? Isaiah, the people perish for lack of vision, okay? And there again, they thought that, we get all biblical, but it's a very simple term. We perish in our lives because we don't have vision for another possibility. So part of the challenge is to increase our perception. Living as spirituality in motion is increasing that perception, the understanding. So the more time we spend getting real to that, the better our manifestation and more intentional our manifestation will be. Next one, Eric. So, as a spiritual community, inviting us to live as spirit in motion, what are some of the things that we are? And I invite you to embrace these because we're a community, okay? Let me tell you right now, I have absolutely no interest in standing up here and providing entertainment, okay? I have interest in impacting your life. And one of the ways that I do that, if you look at all these slides, they have different colors and they have pictures. Some of you are kinesthetic learners, okay? Some of you are visual, some of you are auditory, some of you like color. And so I put all of that in here for the intention of giving you something at the level that resonates with you that you can take home. So when we're talking about being a spiritual community, in impacting the vibration of our whole town, literally raising that vibration and bringing the sacredness of our community to a higher level for our children, for people we don't even know, then we have to start talking about some of the things that we can do that is part of our being. And so one is we learn. We learn. We got a great selection of classes. There's lots of things that we can learn. But guess what? Every one of us is a learner, and every one of us is a teacher. And you have a message. And if you think you don't, look back at your repertoire of experiences and how you surmounted those experiences, and I guarantee you have something to offer. So we learn and we teach. Next one, please, Eric. Okay, we serve and we're served. We got lots of opportunities to volunteer. Kids church, okay, setting up. We're talking about the support of our program. We're talking about holding consciousness. All these things, we need you. And that service blesses everyone. So we serve and we are served. I love the example that Yeshua, the master, gave in washing feet. Everybody's like, we should be washing your feet. And he says, suffer it to be so for now, for such is the kingdom of heaven. So that's what we do. The kingdom of heaven is service. We are part of that divine service. Okay, helping each other up. Now, this one I added. When you are stuck, do something for someone else. It's a hard one because we're sitting in that spot where we're going, God, I have no energy for life. Everything's beating me down. And there again, those statements are creations. So just remember, as I'm saying these things, be aware of that those statements are creations, okay? What am I going to do? It doesn't get any worse than this. I'm telling you, call a timeout and go and do something for somebody else. I promise you, you will feel better. Because what happens is, when you do something for somebody else, you embrace your power, and you become the divine in motion, in benefit of another. Okay, let's go to the next one. Do I have a next one? There it is. Okay. We give and we receive. So, I love this one. No one's ever become poor from giving. And Winston Churchill, who said, we make a living by what we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about here. We're talking about our life. Okay, living, all that other stuff, great. It's going to show up. Make room for it. But giving is manifesting the divine within us. And so there's lots of ways to give. Okay, obviously we can give monetarily. And it's funny, when I first did this slide, I put the slide up there of giving and having the money, and then receiving and having the money. Because that's the whole thing. Everything you get on this planet stays here. So we all work as if we get to take it with us, and you don't. Okay? All your cool stuff, sorry, you're going to have to leave it behind. Okay? And it was funny. We had a guy, one of our firefighters, Dan Belknap, was retiring. And, we had this ceremony where he took his gear off the truck for the last time. And so, he went up to the truck, and he put his, takes his helmet off and takes his bunker gear off and his boots, and he's putting all this stuff in his bag. And I'm listening to one of the guys next to me. He's going, "Ooh, that's a cool helmet. I'd love to have that." So he's putting this stuff down. Everybody's already going, "Ooh, I want to take that." Where did he get that bag to put his stuff in? I want one of those. Okay? That's how it is in life. Everything stays behind, and yet we put our heart on it, don't we? You don't really need to do that. Okay? So giving is a huge blessing, and it goes both ways. And that's that whole manifestation of the flow. Just give, and it goes back and forth. It's really nice. That's how it all works. If you don't believe me, just breathe one way. Just breathe in. Good luck. Okay? Don't breathe out. I could even be more mundane and go, just eat. Yeah, that's a mess. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We love and we allow ourselves to be loved. See, that's the funny thing when we talk about in spirituality, we're like, oh, I have to be more loving. Yeah, and guess what? There's another half of the equation. That's allowing ourselves to be loved. Hard stuff, I know, it is. Because we go back to, well, I'm not worthy. The little kid voice inside says, well, or it looks like this, or I have an impression of love that's kind of distorted, and we're afraid of it. But I'm telling you right now, just let it in. That's that whole surrender thing that I talked about a little bit earlier. Okay? I love this one because if you look at the pupil, it's like that person is seeing that heart coming at them. They're allowing it to be. Allow it. That's volition. Allowing is action, it's motion. Let's go next one. Our word is law, and we keep our word. That's not, we keep our woo. Okay? There was a word there. Okay? Yeah, somebody's going, what is that? I got to look that up. I'm going to fact check that. I wonder what woo. He said, keep the woo. No, it's word. Okay? Words are powerful things. But as a spiritual community, if we're going to take it to the next level, when we say we're going to do something, we do it. Okay? When we're all in, we're all in. When we're out, we're out. And it doesn't matter. But the whole thing is, you got to get in the habit of understanding that your word is law. Okay? So, one, choose your words carefully. All right? Someone told me a long time ago, let your words be soft and tender because it'll be a lot better for you when you have to eat them. Okay? Good idea. All right? It says here, never underestimate the power of your actions nor the impact of your words. Okay? There's a scripture that talks about the tongue being like a flame, and a flame, a tiny flame, causes a huge fire. Same thing with our tongues. We can, in our word, start stuff that we never intended. And then it goes back to the whole story of, the person that was the gossip and told a lie about someone and realized that this lie had wrecked their whole life, and so went to the village, wise woman and said, hey, how do I clean this up? And the wise woman said, well, it's easy. Just go get a bag of feathers and bring them to me. And so the guy goes and gets a bag of feathers and brings them to her. And she says, okay, now go up on the highest mountain and let them all go and then come back to me. So the guy goes up on the highest mountain, lets them all go and comes back to her. And then she says, okay, now go get all the feathers. He's like, I can't do that. The wind took them. That's how it is with your word. You let it go. So the only cure for that is another word. So that word in that particular case would be a cleanup word. That would be the words I lied. And this is the truth to everyone, as opposed to retracting. Same thing with your creation. If your word to yourself is, I always do it wrong, correct that word. And I'm perfection in progress. Different words, heck of a lot better outcome, guarantee it. Okay? And you can see all these, the power of your words. So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I propose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. Now, that's Isaiah quoting God. And if we do the math, that God is within us, and we are one with that divine, then that means that same rule applies to us. It applies to you. Next one, Eric. So, this, behind that I am, says we embrace the I am. Okay? But I want you to look at that. Can you see it? I am enough. Okay? Sometimes, our subconscious, when we see this, we just see the word enough screaming at us in red. Okay? Because our mentality is, I'm getting beat up. Okay, enough. And we don't see the I am behind it. I am. Now, this is an important twist on this whole deal. I am. The first words that God uttered to man, Moses on the mount, who shall send me? Who may I tell him sending me to talk to Pharaoh? I am that I am. Okay? I am is something that we embrace, because that means I am divine. I am. All these words up in here. But the most important thing is, I am enough. By the declaration, I am enough, undoes all those things that we learned as little kids, that I am bad, I am naughty, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm not healthy enough. All of those are I am declarations to the negative. And as a result, we live into it. It manifests. Remember the power of your word. And so what I'm inviting everyone to embrace is the I am. Because if you embrace the I am and touch the divine as an afterwards, it's amazing. Let's go to the next one. So when we look at that, I am. There again, I am that I am. Science is even going, holy cow, what a statement. That's consciousness in a nutshell. I am that I am. I am perceiving me. I am observing me. I'm not the chatter in my head. I am the divine behind the chatter. Okay? I am grateful. I'm happy, thin, young, healthy, wealthy, successful. I am love. I am all those things. Or we can waste our time by saying what's wrong. I am sad. I am sick. Do you realize that's still an I am statement? That you got to go back and clean up, because it's all words. And so in that cleaning it up, it's negating it, taking it out of action and replacing it with a higher thought, a greater and better I am. Okay, so much I am predicates our life, predicates your joy, predicates your happiness. And I'm here to tell you, all the other negative I ams are lies. You want to hear a lie that fast? Wait for an I am to show up that is not in congruence with the divine. It's a lie. Okay? Everybody wrestles with something. But we think that the thing that we wrestle with in physicality is us. And remember, I talked about that whole example of motion and how everything's emotion, and we think, well, I'm wrestling with it in physicality, therefore I must be that. No, you are the divine. You are the divine. I am the divine. I am one with the divine, and you are one with the divine. I am one with you, and you are one with me, and it's an amazing divine flow. Let's go to the next one, Eric. And this is where I wanted to end. I am. Two of the most powerful words, for what you put after them shapes your reality. So let's go full circle. So when we talk about spirit in motion, and we talk about embracing the who we are love. I am love. I am learning. I am service. those words that you put after that shape your reality into something amazing. And if you're not getting traction in your life, if you keep ending up in the same spot, I invite you to look at your I am conversation. Your I am conversation. Because everything that's showing up in your life is coming after an I am, as this thing we call reality, this illusion, everything in motion. I want you to know, every one of you is a manifestation of the divine. If it wasn't so, I wouldn't tell you. It's the truth. The divine resides within you, as you, through you. Every one of you has the ability to change the world. Because when you change your world, it impacts the rest of the world. Every one of you matters. Every action you take matters. And there is nothing in this plane that's bigger than you. Because you are one with the divine. You are the divine. Take that, embrace it, own it, let it in, and be it. And I promise you, joy will be yours every second of every day. Life is joy, and you were meant to have joy. That's our natural existence. Let's pray.